Whether you're new to the world of high-end audio or a long-time audiophile, you might be wondering about power conditioners. What are they? Do they work? Are they snake oil? Or something in between? Let's find out with AudioQuest's PowerQuest 303. Welcome to this episode of Absolute Sound. I'm Jenkins, and I recently joined the review team here on YouTube. While I'm new to reviewing, I've been exploring high-end audio for around 20 years, and Chief Content Officer Tom Martin has given me a particular beat to cover. I live in a small house, a townhouse, and like a lot of enthusiasts, I don't have the luxury of a dedicated listening room, or even the ability to move the furniture around to optimize the space for my sound system. So, with that in mind, I'll be exploring equipment that might appeal to anyone who listens to music in a smaller, shared, real-world space, as well as newcomers who are moving up to high-end sound from maybe a soundbar or headphones. If that appeals to you, welcome. I hope you'll follow my explorations. The purpose of a power conditioner is to clean up electromagnetic and radio frequency noise in the electricity coming out of your wall outlet and getting into your sound system. This noise can come from a number of sources, whether it's the generation station or a nearby transformer, to appliances elsewhere in your house, or even other components in your sound system. The PowerQuest 303 is the first of 3 new power conditioners, the others being the 505 and the 707, and each addresses noise in different ways. If you want to dig into the details, AudioQuest's website has a white paper on the subject. But the basics are that the 303 uses differential mode filtering that operates from 30,000 Hz to 1 GHz. To this, the 505 adds a common mode filter that works between 30,000 Hz and 100 MHz. And on top of this, the 707 uses a wider bandwidth differential mode filter. It starts at 8,000 Hz, which is well within the range of human hearing, and transient power correction, which is basically a current reserve to help your amplifier handle big dynamic swings. As you'd expect, more technology costs more money. The 303 I'm reviewing here costs around $450, the 505 is $700, and the 707 costs $1,300. The 303's design is pretty basic. It's a black rectangular box, about the same footprint as an AV receiver, though only half as high, that weighs around 10 pounds. It's designed to sit flat or be mounted in a rack, and AudioQuest includes the mounting ears, but it can be laid on its side without penalty. It comes with a detachable power cable which features a flat-to-the-wall plug, a nice touch if you don't have a lot of space. On the front, you'll find a switch to turn it on and off and an LED that lights up when it's on. And on the back, there are 3 groups of 4 outlets, so 12 in total. The first group of 4 is labeled high current, and those outlets are designed for amplifiers, receivers, powered subwoofers, components that have varying power demands. The other 2 groups are labeled source components and are used for preamplifiers, turntables, disc players, your television, and any other component that has a constant power demand. Last but not least, the 303 also functions as a surge protector, so all you have to do is plug it into the wall, turn on the power switch, and you are ready to go.
Just a brief interruption, esteemed viewers. As you may know, I'm Tom Martin, Chief Content Officer of the Absolute Sound. We have a new product. It's on the Substack platform, and we're going to do some interesting things with Substack. First of which is reader questions and answers. Each Monday, readers will submit questions, we'll pick the most interesting ones, and we'll answer the questions on Friday. We'll also have early access to articles and special blogs that don't appear anywhere else. We hope you'll join us. It's only a cost of a cup of coffee per month. Just check on the screen or in the show notes below. Thanks, and now back to the show.
All of this discussion presumes that there is in fact noise in your electrical supply that can affect the sound of your system. But do you know that for sure? Unless you hear something specific, such as a change in the sound when someone turns on a microwave while you're listening, you probably don't. Of course, there's presumably a reason why recording studios, including home ones, use power conditioners, but the best test of all is simply to plug in your components to the 303 and see how they sound, which is what I did. So AudioQuest warns that the 303 will take up to 2 weeks to fully break in, but I heard an immediate improvement in a couple of key areas. And by the end of those 2 weeks, it was difficult to think of any area of sound the 303 hadn't improved. Rather than go through the full laundry list though, I'll focus on the 4 things that I thought were most significant. First is soundstage, which is simply the size of the space the music appears in. Well, this varies greatly depending on recording. Before the 303, my soundstage sat between the speakers, didn't go much above them vertically, but it did have a decent sense of depth front to back. With the 303, the stage grew significantly, extending much higher vertically and noticeably improving the front to back space. It's hard to quantify the difference, but music certainly felt more immersive, closer to what you'd hear in real life. Second is sound density, which is really just saying there was more there. More color, more richness, more fullness, more presence. It's not about being louder. It's kind of like the difference between hearing a song playing in the next room and then walking into that room and hearing the fuller music. Or again, to some degree, it's the difference between live and recording. Third, for lack of a better word, is airiness, or maybe openness or clarity. Basically, the 303 lifted a haze, a gauze off the music, which allowed it to sparkle, to feel more alive. I could hear more nuance, more delicacy, and most significant, more separation of instruments. I don't mean the guitar on the left, drummer on the right, but rather than kind of an indistinguishable wall of sound, I could hear trumpets and trombones and saxophones that combined to create that sound, but that's all without losing the music's cohesiveness. Fourth is bass definition. Put simply, the 303 tightened up my system's bass. I have a fairly bass-heavy room, so I'm used to some tubbiness or looseness down low. But with the 303 in place, things like walking bass lines became more distinct. Bass notes themselves gained tautness and a little bit of texture. It was that same sense of clearing a haze, revealing more of what's actually recorded. It's difficult to define how much of an improvement the 303 makes. It's small but significant, modest but meaningful, closer to eye-opening than jaw-dropping. But once I had heard my system with it, there was no going back. My system sounded very good before, but now, once I take the 303 out of the lineup, I can't not hear that haze, which ultimately makes music less engaging. And to me, that's what high-end audio is all about. With a 303 in place, my system just sounds better. So if you want to explore the world of power conditioners without spending a lot of money, especially in high-end terms, the PowerQuest 303 is a great place to start.